In this Know Thyself Through Tarot and Natal Astrology Workshop 2, we are going to work with all 12 horoscope houses of your birth chart. Note the zodiac sign in each house and its tarot card correspondence in the SKT deck, plus each sign's planetary ruler and the tarot card correspondence of that planet. These 12 major arcana cards reveal the inner mysteries of you and the dominant attributes or archetype you embody in areas of life corresponding to that horoscope house. For example, the tarot archetype occupying your house 2 in your birth chart reveals your dominant attributes, recurring narrative themes, and personality traits that most impact money matters, personal finances, and your economic philosophy, your access to resources, and your wealth potential. I want to show how you might use the little white booklet as guidance to interpret some of these cards in your houses. For example, key 18, the necromancer. There's conversations here about ambiguity and being ruled more by emotion and intuition. So the necromancer, the moon card in house 2, can indicate somebody who is often ruled by emotion when making financial decisions, but is also very intuitive. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. Seeking counsel from your ancestral lines are the words written in the guidebook, but how would you translate that? Well, I would see this as somebody who inherits a lot of their economic philosophy from their parents and from their grandparents. So a lot of their money habits are direct mirroring of their parents rather than in contrast or in repudiation and rebellion against parental or ancestral money philosophies, which some people do. When it talks about walking into dark terrain and fluctuating terrain, this can be somebody who is more prone to up and down money luck. You know, they're up, when they're up, they're up, when they're down, they're down. It can be a little bit more fluctuating for this particular person's money luck. And then in terms of guidance, trust your intuition and you will avert danger is what it says in the guidebook. So how you translate that is this person has really good intuition when it comes to money matters. So the guidebook and the guidance from the SKT is use your intuition in this particular case. For other people, it's logic, analysis, or it's often advice to seek professional assistance. You might want to seek guidance from elsewhere. In this particular case, if necromancer rules over house 2, Pisces, this is somebody who can trust themselves to make pretty good decisions, even if they are ruled by emotions. That's not necessarily a bad thing. And finally, toward the end of the entry, there's these conversations about the veil being thin between the worlds, endows you with mediumship powers and messages from beyond. So how I would read that, again, interpreting it, is I would see this as somebody who actually, to be honest, may not have as much personal, direct, causal control over their money luck as they would like. Their financial luck tends to be ruled more by karma and fate rather than personal decisions. The tarot archetype occupying your house 7 reveals dominant attributes, recurring narrative themes, and the fate you are born with when it comes to love, marriage, and relationships. Which horoscope house in your birth chart does key 15, the demon, occupy? This can reveal where aspects of personal shadow are most prominent or have the most impact. Your shadow self may have the most influence to your detriment in areas of life corresponding with your astrological house. Side note about Capricorn rising. When the demon card occupied by Baphomet is in your ascendant house, I read this as someone born with a great deal of power, intensity of power, and light, brilliance, but maybe sadly, this person was not born with access to resources or the tools needed to refine that raw power and light. Often in life, what was gifted to them by God as blessings turn out to feel more like curses because they don't know how to wield control and discipline over their gifts. So their life lessons with Capricorn rising is to learn how to wield control and discipline over your gifts. So blessings do indeed feel like blessings. Side note about Scorpio rising. When the Reaper, the Tarot Death card, occupies your ascendant house, I read this as someone who navigates liminal spaces with mastery, with a born ease. The death card in tarot is about cessation, but with the promise and potential of a rebirth. Here's how we apply that to a personality profile. The Reaper in your ascendant house is likely to be someone with a knack for reinventing herself or himself. They're also fluid like water. The Reaper card as the tarot archetype in your 10th house, for example, can indicate that you have a knack for reinventing yourself in matters of career. When one opportunity ends, you know exactly how to fetch a new opportunity for yourself and change into the new professional setting. It can also prognosticate having to reinvent yourself a couple of times over throughout your professional life. The horoscope house in your chart that Mars occupies, corresponding with the Tower, can reveal a fate fracture in your fortunes, some area of life where you might be more prone to disappointments, experiences of failure, but ultimately these are trials to test you, to see if you'll rise to the occasion, to become who you are destined to become. Now pull out a copy of your birth chart and fill in this table. This is keyed to whole signs, so if you're working with Placidus, you may need to tweak the table a bit to show the cusps. You're also going to be studying and assessing the minor arcana pip cards and court cards that correspond with the sacred seven in your birth chart, plus your ascendant sign and midheaven sign. In your birth chart, locate your midheaven sign. It's often designated by MC. In the example you see on screen, MC is at 7 degrees in Libra. From the Decanate Correspondences reference table in the previous tarot and astrology handout, you'll be able to locate the Decanate ruler of Libra at the 7-degree placement. Here, that's Saturn in Libra. The midheaven sign is ruled by the decanate Saturn in Libra, which corresponds to the Three of Swords in the tarot, which in the SKT, the epithet or key title is the bereaved. By nature, this can be someone prone to making career decisions that lead them into jobs that bring a lot of undue stress, that don't feel emotionally rewarding, and in fact, often put them in positions where they're taken advantage of. They can often find themselves clashing ideologically with their place of employment or even with the fundamentals of their profession. At least that's how I read the Three of Swords as the corresponding key to a midheaven sign placement under Saturn in Libra. Now let's also see which of the court cards corresponds with Saturn in Libra to reveal the persona that dominates when you are in the professional setting at your job. Here is the Queen of Swords. In the SKT, it's the Scarlet Shield. Some of my thoughts as an astrologer and tarot reader: you're going to be best suited in a career where you're more visible, more in the public eye, or what office lingo calls front of the office or front end contact. Queen of Swords folks aren't usually suited for back office work. They are going to get so bored so quickly. This is also someone who likes to take control and be the lead in work projects. If you're not the one taking point, you're not going to be happy. However, I'll say that I don't interpret the Tarot Queen of Swords character as someone who is diplomatic or who plays office politics well. This is someone the total opposite of that. They are there to get the job done and done well, but don't expect them to know how to pander to leadership or sweet talk and cajole the employees. Their words can be too direct. They really need to learn how to sugarcoat, and they probably send tone-deaf emails a little too often. Now let's proceed to fill in the entire table you see in the handout so you have a complete record of all the major arcana cards you embody, your tarot archetypes in the 12 horoscope houses of your birth chart, and a record of the minor arcana cards that reveal narrative themes and dominant personality traits in the various areas of your life, like what is the outer mask you wear when meeting people? That's designated by your sun. How do you process emotions, and how is your EQ? That's your moon. What is your communication style, the way you think, and the philosophy or critical theory you are most likely to adopt? That's your Mercury. And so on. Again, a prerequisite for this workshop is an intermediate level of proficiency with Western astrology, since I haven't included any educational materials on the houses, signs, or how to read a chart. The last page of the free downloadable PDF handout also includes reference tables of generalizations you might reach based on the tarot composition of your chart. For example, in quadrant 1 of your birth chart, that's houses 1, 2, and 3 collectively, the corresponding major arcana cards are predominantly from which of the three septenaries? For example, third septenary cards dominate in my quadrant 1, so generalizing here, I tend to be driven by ideas, philosophy, aesthetics, metaphysics, and theory. My husband James's quadrant 1 of his birth chart is populated by second septenary cards, so his life lessons are centered around societal affairs and organizational involvements. That being said, your ascendant sign always dominates your personality, and since he is a Cancer rising, he's going to tend to be more introverted, and yet still likes to be the one in control and leading stuff. That's very Cancer rising. Count up and tally the number of minor arcana cards. This is the pip and court cards combined for each suit for each of the four elements. Which element dominates? You'll see how in my chart the suit of swords marked by the yellow dots dominates. So I'll read about the generalizations for those who are air dominant. By the way, for the four temperaments, there will be a download on the course page that gets into the four temperaments. Among the spread of 9 court cards that reflect the 9 core aspects of you and which aspect of you gets shown where in which areas of your life, take a look here to see which is in the majority. On screen, kings are marked by red, queens by blue, knights by yellow, and you won't see any green dots here, but green marks the pages. Tarot knights, the shining ones, dominate in my chart. Here, I'd like to direct your attention to the last lines. Archangels, tarot kings, and shining ones, tarot knights, are noted as performing extroversion well. Shields, tarot queens, and heralds, tarot pages, are noted as, quote, avoids performances, end quote. This is because I don't believe in the Jungian characterization of introversion versus extroversion. I don't think it's that clear cut. You're not solidly one. There are people who appear to be extroverts, but they're putting on a show for us. It's a performance. Deep down, they're just as introverted as the self-proclaimed introverts. Introverts appear to be that way because they have the personality type that says, nope, I am not going to do a song and dance for you just for your comfort and entertainment. Introverts can be sociable, except they choose not to be. Even people who think they're by nature helplessly shy, that's not true. They just don't want to put themselves out there like that. That's all. So that's why instead of simply saying active elements are extroverted and passive elements are introverted, I think it makes more sense here. It's more precise to say that the active signs perform extroversion well, while the passive signs prefer not to perform at all. By the way, I found that the I Ching Oracle messages cast from the pairs of tarot cards in each of these tables reveals a lot and were super insightful. For example, in the Inner Mysteries table, the SKT major key for your sign is the lower trigram. The SKT major key for the planetary ruler of that sign is the upper trigram. Just remember, high ruler up top, rule from above. Just an easy way to remember which trigram is which. For the Outer Mysteries table, the SKT minor pip for the deacon ruler of the key point is the lower trigram. The SKT minor court for the deacon ruler is the upper trigram. to remember that court cards are like guardian angels, the Empyrean court, angelic realm, so up top, high above. Pip cards in tarot relate to everyday life events, so lower, below, lower trigram. Use the little white booklet to look up the hexagram resulting from the 2 trigrams, and then look up the oracle message in the Book of Maps. Returning to the midheaven sign placed under the decan ruler Saturn in Libra, the 3 of Swords is assigned the trigram Heaven. The Scarlet Shield is assigned the trigram Lake. Court cards, upper trigram, so Lake over Heaven. That's hexagram 43, Decisive Action. For the person with this specific midheaven sign placement, read and reread again this oracle message for hexagram 43 anytime they seek some general insight into how they are personality-wise in career matters. Here's another way to reveal insights from tarot and astrology. Let's say you want to reveal insights about your love life or luck in love. Looking at the houses, astrologers will typically look to house 7 for matters of love and marriage. We also look to the placement of Venus in your chart for matters of romance and attraction. Leo corresponds with the Force, key 8. Sun in Scorpio, which is the decan ruler of Venus in this birth chart, is the 6 of Chalices. In this type of case, I would assign the minor arcana card as the lower trigram and the major arcana card as the upper trigram. Because of that power cross, we double the trigram wind. This is wind over wind. That's hexagram 57. I read this oracle message alongside the 2 cards associated with the key aspects relating to love and romance. Personally, this is one of my favorite exercises with the SKT deck, and I hope you'll find it useful and revelatory as well.